This device is a water ionizer, so it's different from other home water treatment devices, such as reverse osmosis systems, filters, and other systems. The characteristic of the ionizer is that it contains ionization plates inside, which create a separation within the tap water. So they do not add any other elements or other substances that enrich the water. There is, in fact, a separation of the trace elements present in the water. So the acidic salts, or rather the salts in ionized form, because in water salts are always in ionized form, the acidic and alkaline salts are separated through this process, which is called water ionization. The acidic salts in ionized form, such as chlorine, bromine, sulfur, and others, are directed to the lower part. The alkaline ones, on the other hand, like magnesium, calcium, potassium, and many others, are directed to the upper tap. This is what gives the water its characteristic of being called alkaline water, but above all, we have water that is alkalinizing. There is water containing substances that help obtain water rich in molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen is actually a gas, an odor, a color, a taste, which is present when water undergoes separation. So the hydrogen atom present in water, whose formula is H2O, undergoes analysis and is practically created. Thank you. Molecular hydrogen forms because when hydrogen and hydrogen in the water meet, due to the separation of the ionization plates, they create a covalent bond, join together, and form a molecule. From two hydrogen atoms, H2 is created, which is precisely the formula for molecular hydrogen. This makes the water, in fact, water that is rich in molecular hydrogen, and for this reason we can say that it is alkalizing water and therefore has these particular characteristics. What we're going to do now is measure the oxidation reduction potential of the water we commonly drink. As you can see here, we have different types of water and also beverages. This represents all the sugary soft drinks, and this is a bottle of sparkling water, this is a bottle of still water, and this is tap water. Using this instrument, which is an ORP meter, we measure the oxidation reduction potential. We will see whether a water releases, let's say, oxygen and therefore has oxidizing characteristics, or if, on the other hand, this water is antioxidant, meaning it attracts oxygen. We can see this through this value. If the measured value is positive, the water will be oxidizing. Conversely, if it is negative, the water will be antioxidant. So, at this particular moment, I am going to carefully pour the entire contents of these bottles into a clear glass container in order to meticulously carry out the comprehensive evaluation test. So here we have the water, slightly sparkling, and here we have some still uncarbonated water, and over here we have regular tap water. And now, at this very moment, I am going to carefully and precisely fill this empty glass directly with the wonderfully refreshing Kangen water. This is indeed water that possesses a negative ORP, or oxidation reduction potential, which means it inherently exhibits characteristics that are entirely and completely different from all the other types of water you might encounter. As you can clearly observe now that I am carefully pouring it, the water, do you distinctly see this fascinating opalescence, this milky shimmering quality? This opalescence is actually the molecular hydrogen, which is visible right from the start. So here I have the device, my ORP meter reader. As you can see, this sugary drink is very oxidizing. We have a value that's around 400. This one, which is slightly sparkling, has a positive value that unfortunately indicates it has oxidizing power. This is the water. This is ordinary tap water, which is commonly supplied for various uses, and it rises because the chlorine, a chemical often introduced into water systems, tends to make the water, through its chemical properties, have strong oxidizing characteristics. Watch what happens when I put it here. You can clearly observe how the value has progressively gone into the negative range, and we now have distinct values that consistently settle around precisely -500. The unit of measurement for this particular phenomenon is millivolts. So this is essentially water that is exceptionally rich in free electrons that are readily released. And that is precisely why it consistently exhibits this significantly negative ORP, or oxidation reduction potential. This entire concept is truly and remarkably very interesting indeed. What we're going to do now is also measure the presence of molecular hydrogen. We have this device, which is an H2 meter. It allows us to see whether a liquid contains molecular hydrogen or not. For example, if we put it in soda, you can see there is no molecular hydrogen. The value reads exactly 0. It's the same with still and sparkling water. Still water doesn't have molecular hydrogen either. And the ordinary tap water also shows absolutely nothing. Now, watch very closely what precisely happens when I carefully take the water. You can clearly see that the measured value is steadily rising. It's definitely going up. We're already at a significant 0.35 to 0.37. So this water contains molecular hydrogen. So it's a water that's rich in molecular hydrogen. You can find a substantial amount of comprehensive information about this fascinating molecule readily available on the vast expanse of the internet. This remarkable molecule is truly revolutionizing what could potentially be the exciting new scenarios for people's overall well-being and offering genuinely healthy lifestyles. This is what we want to offer precisely through this project of water rich in molecular hydrogen, a water that, as we said, is ionized water and alkaline water, but above all, it's an alkalizing water thanks to the presence of molecular hydrogen. An important characteristic of this water is that it is hydrating water. This concept of hydration is very important because we are generally used to thinking of water as something silky. But instead, we need to adopt a new understanding of water, one that has the ability to hydrate our cells. And this is what happens when you use water rich in molecular hydrogen, which has a special structure obtained through the ionization of water. When we ascend up into the majestic high mountains, we invariably observe pristine water, and it is water that is constantly in motion, and it possesses a much smaller molecular structure when compared to typical bottled water. Cisterns, the water in dams, after some time, 24 to 36 hours, very large molecular aggregates form. As a result, the water no longer has that simple hexagonal structure made up of 6 water molecules, and for this reason, it loses its characteristic of being water that hydrates our body. It is therefore important to conduct an experiment in which I show you that this water truly has high hydrating capabilities, just like the waters found in high mountains, which are living, moving waters, and for this reason are very beneficial to the body. Here with me, I have a tea bag. This tea bag represents our body. The outer wrapping represents our body, and the tea inside represents the cells themselves. So usually we make tea with hot water, because hot water enters into the cells of the tea leaves, and the tea releases its own substance. So now what are we going to do instead? I'll show you how this water is not just any water, but it's hydrating water. It has this hydrating ability, and we can see this clearly through this property of water is called extractive capacity. You can see how quickly the tea comes out. The water is cold right now, it's not hot water, yet it still has this extractive capacity. This extractive capacity shows us that the water has this hydrating ability, meaning it can enter inside the cells of the tea leaf, and in the same way, it can enter the cells when introduced into our body. So now, I am carefully putting a few concentrated drops of this aromatic tea into each individual glass to clearly show you the distinct difference. Following this, I am taking a transparent bottle, and as you can plainly see, this contains pure, crystal clear, still water. The water is completely transparent, because this is not water that hydrates, meaning the water was not able to enter those few drops of tea. Here, in the same way, we have tea. Look at what happens instead with this water. You will see that the water turns yellow precisely because the structure of this water is much smaller, and therefore it is able to enter those few drops that were in the glass, and so you can see the difference is remarkable. This is water that does not hydrate. In fact, it has no extracting ability, whereas this is water that hydrates, because you can see how in the tea the water has turned yellow. So we have confirmation that this water is indeed water that has high hydrating capabilities, and so there is a clear difference between water that simply quenches thirst and water that actually hydrates. The level K8 device by Enagic is capable of dispensing two very special types of water. We have a strong acidic water that is dispensed from the lower faucet, and a super alkaline water. There are really many uses for them. One very interesting and beneficial use is that we can effectively remove all the potentially harmful components that we might often find in the fresh fruits and vibrant vegetables we eat every single day. As you can clearly see, here I am carefully putting some ripe cherry tomatoes, and I am precisely placing them in equal amounts. So now, at this very moment, I turn on the faucet, and the sophisticated device clearly tells me it's actively dispensing powerful, strong acidic water. In fact, the water being dispensed right now is acidic water from below and alkaline water from above. So I carefully take these fresh ripe tomatoes, which are indeed from the very same package as before. And now I am going to gently pour this clear, pure water, which is actually super alkaline water, right here into this container instead of the other one. I'm going to thoroughly wash the remaining items with fresh tap water, then carefully leave them here to rest and dry naturally. In the meantime, I will comprehensively explain the remarkable properties and functions of this special water. This innovative water effectively replaces traditional detergents and various harsh cleaning agents, as well as all the numerous chemical substances typically used for cleaning purposes throughout the entire house. We have a 2.5 water, which is a specialized water that effectively replaces many common cleaning products, such as descalaires, particularly in the bathroom area, or for cleaning in the kitchen. So, it effectively works as a powerful descalaire and additionally as an excellent surface sanitizer. Because being a water with a pH of 2.5, it is able to sanitize all surfaces. On the other hand, the 11.5 water that comes out of the upper tap is a water that degreases and cleans surfaces. So we can effectively use this remarkable device as if it were a highly efficient kind of detergent factory, but this particular water is completely harmless. It has absolutely no negative effects, no contraindications. If, for example, it is accidentally drunk by young children, or in general, it truly has no harmful or detrimental effect whatsoever on our bodies. And this water will also have the characteristic of even replacing laundry detergent, in the sense that by putting 5 liters of this 11.5 water in the washing machine, we will have a completely ecological washing machine where no chemical additives are used to wash and clean. You just need to add this water to the washing machine drawer, so 5 liters of water at the moment when the washing machine requires water for the first load in the compartment, and there will be no need to add any more water. And it's really interesting that the clothes will come out clean. The water will have a cleansing effect, and you will truly rediscover the scent of cleanliness. Let's take a look now at what has happened in the meantime to our cherry tomatoes. These are the cherry tomatoes taken and washed with water from the same source, and these are the cherry tomatoes that we washed instead with water rich in molecular hydrogen, with water at a pH of 11.5. As you can see, the color is completely different. This water is clear, while this water is yellow, precisely because it has emulsified. This water has this characteristic called the ability to emulsify oils. it has emulsified the oils present on the cherry tomatoes, which are probably the oils from pesticides and also from the preservation of the food that occurs during the production, preservation, and packaging process. And this is really important because this water is thus able to transform the quality of the food. But now let's look at an even more interesting experiment. Here I have the cherry tomato washed with hydrogen water, and this is the cherry tomato washed with regular water. If I take my ORP meter, we will clearly see that the fresh cherry tomato, which was thoroughly washed with regular tap water, will consistently have an oxidizing ORP reading of approximately 180. But if I use this particular one instead, you can clearly see how the value is steadily dropping and how the food truly and effectively becomes a powerful antioxidant. Now it's dropping even more significantly, and so the humble cherry tomato possesses these truly incredible and beneficial characteristics. Antioxidant, see how it's dropping. Of course, only a few minutes have passed, but if the food stays immersed even longer, the water will have truly remarkable effects on the food. We're already at -30, so we really have a food that is antioxidant. Why? Because molecular hydrogen has entered inside the cherry tomatoes and has basically managed to transform the food into real antioxidant food, meaning it has an antioxidant action just as it was originally intended before all these preservation processes and intensive cultivation in the production of vegetables, fruit, and greens. So this is a revolution within the Kangen Water Project, where we have the possibility of having truly healthy food with remarkable freshness and quality. Another very interesting type of water that the device produces is water with a particular pH. It's this water, beauty water, with a pH of 6.0. It's the same pH as our skin, so it's a water that hydrates, firms, and really feels as if it were a beauty cream for the skin. It can also be effectively utilized as a wonderful conditioner for hair, for animal fur, and it makes both animal fur and human hair exceptionally shiny and incredibly soft. It truly has an absolutely remarkable and beneficial effect on the skin, giving it a truly profound and deeply softening action. So, 6.0 water.